everybody, so this is another I am talking video. This is a video series I started where the idea is to talk about what I learned to be enlightenment, and thereby hope to deepen it in myself. And of course, the hope is that at least one more person outside of myself finds it interesting. I think it's mostly for beginners or of enlightenment, learning about enlightenment. You know, people who dip their toe in it, but maybe it's also for others. So the definition that I learned what enlightenment is to see that the beingness is always there. Another way to say that is to accept the fact that in order to have any sort of experience, there needs to be an awareness of that experience. Or in other words, to say that is, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's there to see it, did it even fall? Kind of a thing. So what I think is like most crucial, and that is also something that Bentinho Massaro shares about, that he learned, is that repetition is key. That's why Bentinho invented the 2 to 5 second method, where you don't meditate, you just try to let go of your whole world for 2 to 5 seconds. So for a very brief moment, you really let go of everything that you know and you have and you are. Again, I'm just sharing my understanding, so this is not, I'm not necessarily teaching here, or I'm also not representing Bentinho. There's a high chance that I misunderstand him sometimes, but I think I got the basic gist of the whole teaching. And so I think repetition is key, and I really like how this, it deepens it every time. Sometimes it feels like if I don't do the 2 to 5 seconds or any IM practice for a certain period of time, that I get it less, or that my identity becomes thicker again. But I think this is actually kind of not necessarily the case. I think the more you, like, it's like riding a bicycle. You always know how to ride a bicycle, kind of a thing. And to me, it's like the most easiest access is this awareness of experience thing. Like I like it, for example, if I have a physical pain or a emotional pain, to see that this is an experience that I'm having because I'm aware of it. So then the focus gets kind of out of the pain a little bit, and then into the field of awareness, in which the experience of having the pain and the experience of kind of being the part that is in pain is happening. And that is not actually a solution to the pain, that the pain still goes on, in my experience. It becomes a little bit more transparent. I become a little bit more relaxed around it, but it doesn't, for me, it mostly doesn't completely solve the problem of having the pain. But it's just a cool thing that where I can kind of turn something bad into something good. I can say, well, right now I'm suffering, but I can use that suffering to at least deepen the self-realization. So I have a short-term negative that happens, but I have a long-term benefit from it. So, and also over time, I think it also lessens the pain a little bit, or like the amount of suffering, because it's just, I'm just not 100% wrapped in the pain anymore, and I'm more in the awareness. I'm like aware of awareness. I'm aware that there is this field of awareness. And yeah, I mean, again, if I say I'm aware of awareness, that is something that I haven't figured out completely, but it's like more of a sense. Because if I say I'm aware of awareness, what happens in my mind is like I imagine a field of awareness, and then I'm aware, like I'm looking at my own imagination of that field of awareness that I just made up on the spot, right? So that is not it. It's more like I get it that I'm aware, you know. I don't know if that makes sense. So yeah, and I just like that life always makes me more enlightened in that sense. It's like almost like I feel like if I'm suffering or if I'm going through a problem, then it's almost like, yeah, because there's more deepening of self-realization to be had. And so that's why you have a catalyst. And so I think every catalyst is an invitation to deepen self-realization, and life is never like going back. It's always like moving from identity towards self-realization, and that goes, I think, for every being, even people who are not at all interested in spirituality or enlightenment. It's always like everybody learns something from something bad that happened, right? And I think that learning is basically a deeper understanding. Like, for example, if people go, well, I had a bad social experience, so now I care less what people think. In my definition, that means that they are like a little bit disidentified from that person. They kind of see that their role in society is a relative one, and that people have their stories about them, so they are a little bit closer to the understanding that there's a field of awareness and no object in that field is me. So that means that if somebody says, well, you're an asshole, or in my estimation you are to be judged negatively or whatever, that just means that the relative me that they perceive in their own mind, in their own world, is to be judged negatively. But if I kind of see that the relative me cannot ultimately be me, it is more like I'm aware of the relative me. And also on top of that, their relative version of me is not my relative version of me anyway. So that's why people often think that they are good people and other people think they are bad people, but they're all talking all about the relative persons, people. Yeah. So I just like repetition in terms of I am practice. I like the 2 to 5 seconds. I make these shorts with my cat where I have a 60 seconds enlightenment pointer. I like the I am talking series, even though like nobody really watches them, but that's fine because I mostly do it for myself. And so that deepens the I am practice. Also the me book from Bentini is very good, and also a lot of other scriptures like Nisargadatta Maharaj or people like that. Just reading these books is pretty good, and it's not necessarily the same as meditation. I think meditation is, to my understanding, is mostly like sitting still and having a still mind and being peaceful and content, and or working with the emotions or whatever. But this is more like a recognition, which is also, just as accessible as when it's a very busy situation as when the surrounding is extremely still and peaceful, which I find extremely cool, because then I can use it in all situations, like I shared with pain, but also like social situations, all physical sensations, including like hormonal, strong hormones kicking in or whatever, love, also stress, social, like stress in traffic, or so I just love that it's 100% applicable to 100% of situations. And so it's just about how much am I motivated to constantly remind me. And also what I love about it is I think self-realization is the most humble thing a person can do, because self-realization is, I think, the only thing where you don't create a persona. I mean, this is maybe debatable, but I think if I'm like a great artist, then I kind of almost sell myself a little bit as a great artist, right? It's, I mean, some artists may say that this is not my art, it just came through me, but then they also want to sell their art, right? So there's a little bit of salesmanship and a little bit of, this is me, the artist. This is me who painted a great piece of art. This is my social role here. And that's why you have to pay a lot of money for my art or whatever, right? Or any other type of thing that people do or teach is, I think it's all self-serving in a sense, even if it's very for other people, like if you work for Greenpeace or whatever, but it's still, you now are part of Greenpeace. You want at least some people to recognize that you have a moral value because you do something for the environment. So, at least in a subtle way. I'm sure it's like there for everybody. Maybe not, like there are probably exceptions even there, but that's just my assumption. But when it comes to self-realization, it's about talking about being aware of experience that is not new, that God came up with that on day one, right, of creation, because ultimately the I am is also a creation. And so it's like saying something, well, we have known about this for 8 billion years, but now I'm going to repeat it, right? It's not, you can't really be this great guy who talks about self-realization, because it's not new, it's not my invention, it's not something that I can really sell. I think, like I said, there's always exceptions to all of it, but I think for my feeling, it's like this, the most humble thing. Like when I hear Bentinho talk about self-realization, I'm feeling like he sacrifices his whole personality doing that. If he would talk about anything else, people would say, well, this is this great guy talking about this, right? Or like they say now, he's this bad guy talking about this. But when I hear him talking about self-realization, I'm like, okay, this is just for me. This is not something that is in any way marketable or brandable, because it's like so universal. It's like the most universal thing ever. And so that's also what I love about it. It's like it comes with no attached strings. It comes with no attached story, right? So it's just about self, like serving myself in the ultimate sense and serving others. And it's right. I think you get the point. So that's what I love about it. And also Bentinho shares that humility is the most confidence. So he created this word confidence, humility, which is one word, right? So I think the I am practice also makes me absolutely confident, because once I see that I'm the field of awareness and people talk about my relative sense in any type of way, be it good or bad, it doesn't change my recognition of the I am, which is the ultimate form of confidence, I think. And I think this whole discussion of the I am, this is a little caveat, is also a little bit relative because ultimately the I am is also a creation. And so there's a step beyond that even, which is the absolute. But like Bentino shares, and a lot of people share, the I am is already good enough. Like really seeing that all creation needs to be aware to even be experienced, then that's already probably more than half the step towards the absolute. And that's already what we, like in the non-duality sphere, mostly call enlightenment. So enlightenment is already a pretty cool goal. And then the absolute is something even beyond that, because why would the absolute be even aware without creating awareness? You know, so that is also pretty cool to me. It makes logical sense, and I love the absolute even more than the I am. But like I said, the I am is the daily practice, I think, and then the absolute maybe comes by itself or whatever. Yeah.